Hello, I'm David Breeden. I'm the senior minister at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis, which is a historically humanist congregation. And this is Coffee and Wisdom, when we try to take a humanist look at theological and philosophical issues along the way. We definitely want to think about what humanism is as we progress along the various definitions. This one is from the Bristol Humanist Group in the UK. They say this: humanism is an approach to life based on reason and our common humanity, recognizing that moral values are properly founded on human nature and experience alone. Again, most of the definitions of humanism leave out the supernatural. It may or may not exist in different ways of seeing humanism, but it's not the main reason that we are here or the driver for our moral ethical decisions. It's generally the idea about how this works. And so the Bristol Group, a UK, as we know, humanism develops out of an idea of secular humanism, as we would call it nowadays, in the mid-19th century in England, and then comes to the U.S. Through one of my predecessors as a minister. So the Bristol Group in England. We've been talking about ideas of utopia, dystopia, the difference between those two, how do they work, and how do they not work at all? So this week we've been talking about Utopia and Tomorrow. The idea there is, do utopian ideas ever really do anything within the world? So that's a good question. Usually, unfortunately, utopias lead nowhere, but sometimes they do work. There is a very short introduction, that's part of the title actually, by Lyman Towers Sargent, called Utopianism. If you're interested in this, the very short introduction books are great. They're short, they're great introductions, and they're always written by a leader in that particular field. And Lyman Towers Sargent is one of the top researchers into the idea of utopias. Now, last week I talked quite a bit about dystopia and, the things that happen in those: war, death, oppression, dictatorship, hopelessness, despair, environmental disaster, revolution and counter-revolution, bad things. Well, so what's the opposite of that is what we see as utopianism. That's peace, healthy populations, freedom, democracy, hope, optimism, in tune with the nature of human beings, in tune with nature itself, and stability. These are things that we like to see, and various utopian ideas have said this is how we're going to go about doing this, and usually they fail. There is one interesting aspect to this, though. A fellow by the name of William Morris, a Brit, 1834 to 1896. William Morris from, the famous wallpaper of various sorts, very fancy wallpaper. His idea was, let's get the workers out of the factories and into craft situations where they're actually seeing what they make. Now, we have to back up a little bit and look at the ideas of Marx very quickly, because William Morris was looking at the ideas of Marx, and his main focus was alienation, Marx's idea of alienation. And what Marx said is that, look, we're taking these workers out of the fields, out of their shops, and putting them into a factory. In the factory, they really don't see why they're doing this, except they're doing it for money. And that alienates the worker. And William Morris agreed. Marx said money is the alienated essence of man's work and existence. The essence dominates him and he worships it. So money, money, money becomes the only thing we're interested in. We lose total track of what it is we're making or why we're doing that. So William Morris comes up with the idea of arts and crafts, and the arts and crafts movement is initiated by William Morris in 1861. And the idea is to make quality art and design available to the widest possible audience. That is, we're going to put these craftspeople out of the factories back into small working environments, and they're going to make these beautiful things. Now, the arts and crafts movement, the bungalows that are very much part of older parts of cities in the United States are based in this idea. And of course, the very famous chairs and again, the wallpaper. Well, William Morris uh, considered the socialist ideal as a way of getting people out of these factories and really working. And his idea, and the pre-Raphaelites in general, this was a movement in England, saw medieval Christianity as really the kind of ideal situation. Morris wrote a book called News from Nowhere in 1890, and this is his utopian novel in which he considers ideas of how to construct a society in which the workers are not alienated and everyone has great furniture and well-built houses. Uh, Morris wrote this. It has often been said, and no doubt truly, that one ages very quickly if one lives amongst unhappy people. So he's looking around, and the industrial age is creating unhappiness. How do we get out of that? Well, this is one of his little sayings. The true secret of happiness lies in taking a genuine interest in all the details of daily life. There you see what Morris is doing. And yeah, that's why he's producing these beautiful, huge canvases of wallpaper to put into your parlor. He wrote this: go back and be the happier for having seen us, for having added a little hope to your struggle. Go on living while you may, striving with whatsoever pain and labor needs must be to build up little by little the new day of fellowship and rest and happiness. And there's the ideal of this particular utopia. The branch of socialism or communism that William Morris was following is generally known as libertarian socialism. This goes all the way back. The followers of Coffee and Wisdom know this particular saying that is printed in the book. When Adam delved and Eve span, who was then the gentleman? Back in the days of Adam and Eve, there weren't any class structures. Everybody was out in the garden working away. That was part of the John Ball Rebellion in the 1400s, and it was part of the Diggers' Revolution during the English Civil War. Libertarian socialism is a kind of socialism that is built on small groups of people with no overriding kind of government structure, is the general idea. So it's built from the bottom up rather than the top down. I do not want art for a few any more than I want freedom for a few, says William Morris. And indeed, you can look at the earthly paradise, the arts and crafts movement that William Morris and his circle of pre-Raphaelite artists was able to do. Noam Chomsky said, libertarian socialism is properly to be regarded as the inheritor of the liberal ideas of the Enlightenment. Well, that might be true in the idea that the Enlightenment believed in individuality and the expression of individuality through one's life and the freedom from government intervention in that way of acting. There are libertarian socialists to this day. One of them decorated this statue by saying, "Why pay to live on a planet where we were born on?" And yeah, you know it. That goes right back to the Diggers during the English Civil War, who said that all of the land on the earth is held in common by all the people, and the aristocrats who are stealing it need to be done away with in one way or another. In 1902, to follow this through a little bit, Ebenezer Howard published a book called Garden Cities of Tomorrow. we still hear about garden cities. The idea was to build them in a circular pattern and have green zones within the city as it grew out, so that as we see in this, we have a central city, then we have a large, great, huge, nice forest around that, and then pods going out around that. Everybody then lives in nature and out in the good, clean air. Is the idea. And this had a lot of effect, especially in Europe, not quite so much in the United States. Well, we want to talk a little bit more about how utopias do affect reality a little more on Thursday. Thanks for listening today. And I hope you have a good day and think about how we can unalienate everybody and get everybody understanding how they can live in the minutiae, the beautiful minutiae of the world. We'll see you on Thursday.